Simon, so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
It's been really an exciting ride to see you on MI5, and it's good to see Benji back on duties. In what way would you say has his role changed?
Well, it's what's been great about these movies in over the last almost 10 years. He's gone from being like a sort of lab guy, like a schlubby sort of techie guy, to becoming this secret agent in Ghost Protocol, who's very new and a bit like a puppy in the field. And now in Rogue Nation, he's been at it for a while, so he's a little bit more experienced, he's a little bit more assured and capable. And so I've been able to play a sort of journey for Benji. And in this one, he's changed again, you know. Or he's the same guy, but he's a little bit more lethal.
And he gets to join the action, basically.
Yeah.
So how exciting was that for you, especially the motorcycle car stunts sequence?
That was great. That was a 5-day fun ride with Tom in the car in Casablanca. I mean, Tom is an extraordinarily gifted driver, as well as actor and horse rider and whatever the hell else he can do, everything. So he did all the driving, and I was sat next to him the whole time, and it was like being on the most brilliant fairground ride you could possibly imagine. Because I never felt unsafe, because I knew that he was obviously very capable, but at the same time, all the screaming I'm doing is probably real.
So it's not acting.
No.
You got right into the whole thing.
Exactly.
Casablanca, I mean, probably same temperature.
It reminds
filming.
me. Yeah.
I read about a couple of pranks that you were basically playing on each other while sitting in the car. What did you guys do?
That was Tom. He started putting on my heater. You know, the cars come with heated seats, and so when I wasn't looking, he'd switch on my seat heater, and I'd get really hot, and I couldn't understand why I was so hot, and he'd keep calling for water for me, like he was sort of maintaining my it was kind of maintaining my health while torturing me. And then I suddenly noticed him do it, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he burst out laughing, and I realized he'd been doing it for like a day. So then it became a little war between us about who could do it. So when he was in the middle of a handbrake turn, I'd switch his heater on, and then I put some tape over the light so he couldn't see that it was on. That was the stroke of genius. And we laughed a lot. We got very giddy in that car because we were in it for so long. We were like a couple of children, just crying with laughter.
Is that the way, you know, I would imagine an MI set, basically, that it is children's coming together, having a great time playing?
Tom, yeah, absolutely. Tom is all about keeping things fun. You know, it's a fun film series. It's not deadly serious. You know, there's a lightness to it, which means that it should be fun to make. And I find that when we are at our most sort of like fun-loving, we get the best work done. So for me and Tom and Rebecca, who spent a lot of time together, we just kept things really, really fun the whole time. We did a lot of laughing.
I think the great thing about this movie is not only the storyline about the syndicate, but there's an underlying message, you know, between Ethan and Benji. It's about friendship.
Yeah.
Would you say that is very important as well for this movie to sort of bring that across?
Very much so. One of the things that we spoke about the most on set was about character and the importance of getting those things right, so that all the action that takes place means something. You can have a film which is full of action and it doesn't really have an effect on you because you don't care about anyone that's involved in the action. Whereas making the characters as human as possible makes the action even more exhilarating. And Benji's sort of relationship with Ethan, their friendship, the idea of the family that Ethan has, he's trying to kind of like keep at a distance, but then can't help but rely on. It's all really sweet stuff, you know, and I think that plays as a nice sort of subtext to all the craziness.
I mean, we've been talking about the storyline, about the action sequences. I mean, there's one stunt that's been going through the news everywhere around the world, the plane stunt.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you thought when you saw, I mean, did you see it happening, and what did you think when they were talking about doing it?
Well, the thing is, when Tom says, "I'm going to do something," he's the only person in the world that can say to you, "I'm going to hang off the side of a plane," and you don't go, "What?" Because you know that, you know, for a start, you know he's going to do it, and he'll do it well. It was kind of the scariest one yet. I've never seen him quite so nervous before. Like the Burj Khalifa was a big stunt. He was hanging off the tallest building, but it was very controlled. You know, with this, there was a rushing air and the possibility of debris and birds, and you know, there was some very real danger that he could get hurt. And the cold was extremely intense, and he kind of he knew that was coming, and you could see it. He was much more focused and much more kind of quiet, and we all gave him the space to kind of prepare. And it was terrifying. I mean, when you see it in the movie, it's incredible because you're looking at the film and you're thinking Ethan's hanging off a plane, you're thinking Tom Cruise is hanging off a plane. but you know he's alive because you probably saw him doing some promo for the film. There's been no big news story. When you see it on the day, you don't know what's going to happen on that day, and there's another level of terror. So, yeah, it's pretty intense.
You know, you're a great scriptwriter, great comedian, director, actor. When you get on a set like this, do you mainly focus on acting, or is that something that you know, sort of digest what Christopher does or Tom does and use it for other future experiences?
Yeah, I'm always learning. Every film I do, I learn more, and it's great to be around people like McQuarrie, who not only has proven himself to be a fantastic director, but is also a brilliant writer. You know, he wrote The Usual Suspects when he was 27, I think. So he has a fantastic understanding of story and character and arcs and all this kind of stuff. And so for me as a writer to be around that is great. Seeing Tom, just how Tom conducts himself, and you know, watching him work and understanding how he's become what he is, which is essentially I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry, everybody.
No worries.
Which is the biggest.
I think the sound guy
Yeah.
just fainted, but it's
So I just blew somebody away. For him, you know, watching Tom and sort of understanding how he's become the biggest movie star in the world, it's very interesting.
I mean, looking back like 16 years, I mean, the start was Spaced and then Shaun of the Dead, up to now, how would you sum that experience up, and what is it like for you? Is it surreal?
It is surreal. It is very surreal. To be part of so many stories that I grew up really loving, you know, like Star Trek and Star Wars and Mission Impossible, it never doesn't amaze me. I don't take it for granted. I feel kind of lucky, and but I also feel at home. You know, it's something that I've been dedicated to for a long time, and so to wind up in amongst it, it is surreal though. To be in all these films, whether it's, you know, being in a car chase with Tom Cruise, or beaming off the Starship Enterprise, or being on the set of Star Wars, there's a sort of sense of like, how the hell did I manage to get here, you know?
Because you're good.
I don't like
But
to
you
say
just
that.
no, but I can say that. You know, you just mentioned two amazing franchises, and a decade ago, I think no one could have imagined that, you know, the same director would do Star Trek and Star Wars, and the same actor would be on both sets.
I know.
Describe the experience on Star Trek and describe the experience being on the Star Wars set.
Well, the current Star Trek film, obviously we've got a new director in Justin Lin, so it's a different experience now because JJ's not there, but it's still just as wonderful and kind of and different. You know, it's great to have Justin there and feel his energy, and his vision is so exciting. Star Wars was a great privilege, and you know. It was literally a dream come true to be part of it, and I think people are going to be really excited when they see it. I'm
already excited. But you are on writing duties as well on Star Trek.
Yes.
How did that come about, and was that important for you, especially for the story arc?
Yeah, it was just it just sort of happened really by my obviously working with JJ and Brian Burke, who's our producer on Mission and on Star Trek. He sort of suggested, when they decided to maybe take a new approach with the story, he just sort of said, "Why don't you write it?" And I foolishly said yes, and then began a very intense and gratifying writing process.
Last but not least, getting back to the current franchise,
hey, this is a lovely butterfly.
Nice. Hello. Which one of the gadgets would you like to have at home? And why?
I get to use a lot of gadgets. I always loved the one from Ghost Protocol, the holographic screen that we used to infiltrate the Kremlin is a great gadget. Hilarious and brilliantly conceived. It's fun being in that kind of world of gadgets and stuff. What do we have in this one?
You have the key thingy that you use.
Oh, a lot of the skeleton key. Yeah, that's great. That opens any lock. That's a very convenient thing to have in you know, when you're writing. How do they get into this thing? Oh, I know. There's a thing that it does the thing. Yeah, it's a world I would love to be part of. I'm a gadget man.
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, Steve. Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.